All right. Welcome. Welcome. What's up, Jim?
Hey, what's up?
What's up, James?
What's happening, Chase?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Hopefully you didn't stay up too late last night.
Eh.
That's a yes.
Gotta do what I gotta do.
Yeah. What's up, Orlando?
Gotta make you.
Jim, you're unmuted, but I don't think the audio's on. I can see you talking. I can just say hi to you in chat. Hi, Jim. Yeah, no sound. I don't know. So one of the things I was thinking about, by the way, everybody, while we're waiting for everyone to get in here, is we're obviously going to be giving away by next week. We're going to have a few winners on the new giveaway. All you have to do is participate in the group. But I think we're also going to be giving away one call with Ryan, and it's going to be a recorded call that we'll actually put in the class. Kind of like what I was doing, Ryan, with the other call. I was thinking we could give away one call to coaching call, and then it would just be cool for everybody to learn, seeing like a one-on-one session.
For sure.
And by the way, for those of you who are new or aren't new, we've been adding not just the normal lessons in the replay sheet, but we've been also adding, let me actually share my screen really quick, again, before we get started. We have some calls as well. I've added a call in here of an actual coaching call that I did with an influencer that has over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I basically walked him through everything he would want to do to basically make over $100,000 a month with what he's doing. And so if you guys want to watch that, again, that's the replay. You can go watch it. We also have, obviously, Wednesday's class in here, all the classes. If you haven't seen the schedule yet, here's the schedule. This is where we're at today. Oh, sorry. We got the assignments in here, the apps we're using. And I don't think the marketplace should be in here. I don't know why it's not in here, but maybe it is. Oh, it's right there. So marketplace coming together as well. We got some really, really cool stuff that we're adding in right now. Obviously, there's the done for you stuff that Ryan's doing, and then also we have the new stuff that we're adding in. We're planning on adding in, which is the other done for you services like the TikTok video creation. We're going to be adding SEO services in there, like backlinks, all that stuff. We're going to be partnering with Link Daddy. He's going to be giving us some cool packages and stuff that we can use. So anyways, just rambling. We're almost ready to go. Who's ready to cover how to get started sending messages today? Who wants to start sending some messages? Give me a yes or a one. Alain, cool. Heck yeah. Yes. Awesome. Okay. And again, if you're not in the group, I always try to make sure everybody's in the group because, again, we're getting new people almost every day. I'm going to put the link in the chat. Make sure you join the group, participate. All you have to do is participate. Every week, we pull a new winner. We're giving away $500 worth of services from the digital marketplace, and we're going to be also giving away a one-on-one coaching call with Ryan valued at $300. And we're going to actually be using that as content for the course. So if you want to be in that, again, all you have to do is participate in the Facebook group, okay? Chase and Ryan are my favorite superheroes. Thanks, man. All right, so Ryan, we got to do some proxies today, and we got to send some messages, right?
Yeah, for sure. We're ready to go with proxies. Proxies, I'm excited, actually, is the last piece of the foundation so that we can successfully send stuff.
Okay.
Awesome. So we are good here. So proxy is kind of a fancy term, and I'm not going to go technical, but I think the first thing to do is like, what is a proxy, right? So in short language, a proxy is something that sits between you. It's a middleman, basically, so that as you send out the contact forms, then you actually aren't sending them directly to the website. So if we want to go like to a dentist, right, and send them a message, we don't have the bot connect directly to the dentist website. The bot connects to the proxy, and the proxy connects to the dentist website. And that way, if we accidentally generate a complaint, which can happen, I'll talk about in a second, the proxy takes the complaint rather than us. And that is really important because, which is the very next part, why a proxy is important. But let me, does this make sense to everybody? I know, Chase, you know what a proxy is. It just is a middleman. Let me know in the chat. Does this making sense? Have I totally lost anybody yet?
So, Ryan, one thing a lot of people ask, by the way, I'd like to highlight is they ask, what's the difference between sending from a virtual private server and sending from a proxy?
You don't send from a proxy, you use a proxy more. So I guess a virtual private server is another computer. It is just like your computer. It sets out there somewhere connected to the internet, and you are remotely connecting to it. If you could physically travel to it. Like, let's say it's in Dallas, Texas, you go to Dallas, you could sit down in front of that computer and use it. It's an actual physical computer. Whereas a proxy is just something that relays information. So it's a middleman. It's something that passes on information. So it takes your request to submit your advertisement, like, hey, go to my website and buy my SEO services, go to my website and sign up for Jasper, right? And it passes through it. It's kind of like, think about it like the postal service, right? When you mail a letter for the post office, you don't take the letter and hand it to your postman, and your postman or post lady drives it directly to the other person's house or business. Instead, it goes to the post office, which then sorts it and sends it to another post office and whatever. And then eventually you get to the other place. The post office is the proxy. It is acting on your behalf to deliver the letter rather than you delivering the letter directly to the other person. Whereas a VPS is a physical machine that runs the software. Does that make sense?
Got it. So a virtual private server is a computer that you log into. Proxies are basically IP addresses that you're going to be sending messages from, but you don't actually log into them. You load them up into the tool, and then instead of sending messages from your internet connection, you're sending it from basically other people's internet connection, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And go ahead.
No, just making sure. Does everybody kind of understand the difference between a private server that you log into and a proxy that you're going to be sending messages from? Just want to make sure we're all good on that. Yes, yes, yes. Cool. Awesome. One's awesome.
Awesome. Okay. So that leads us into why a proxy is important. And I think if you understand why a proxy is important, that'll kind of help solidify the difference between the VPS and the proxy as well. And that is, proxies are important because everything has an IP address, and you don't really need to understand that, but it's like an address on your house. If you want to mail a letter to somebody, you have to write down their address, and then the post office knows where to send it. You have an IP address on your computer. That's your address of your computer, so that when you connect to the internet, it knows when you send. So let's say you have Comcast or you have AT&T or whoever you have, your cable provider, your telephone provider, and you send an internet request to them to load a web page because you want to go to Facebook. You say, I want to go to Facebook, and you send that to your internet service provider. The internet service provider then goes out, gets Facebook, and sends it back to you. This is really simplified, but sends it back to you. Your IP address is the address, so they know who to send that request to Facebook back to. So it's kind of like they're sending the letter, the digital letter of Facebook back to you, right? You requested it, now you get it back. So when we use contact forms, it can generate a complaint. A complaint's nothing illegal, it's just a complaint. I go and complain. It's a complaint. People complain. Internet service providers, your cable company, your phone provider, whoever sells you internet access, do not like complaints. They just don't like it. I'm not going to go into why, but they're really sensitive to complaints. They're like a hypersensitive person that's like hypersensitive. Like they're almost allergic, if you want to take that analogy, to complaints, right? They don't like them. So I actually, 12 years ago, when I first started with automation, made a mistake, wasn't using proxies, and I was doing a bunch of stuff. And I got a letter from my internet provider, AT&T at the time, and they were like, we're going to stop selling you internet access if you keep getting complaints. And I was like, wait, what? And I had to stop for a minute. I was like, you're not going to sell me internet access. I only had two providers, cable and phone. Phone was going to stop selling me internet. If I go to cable and they stop selling me internet, I can't get internet at my house because it's just my house. I was like, I have to get a handle on this. So enter proxies, which is, it's another IP address, like Chase said, that then if you want to think about it as hiding, that's really a bad term, but it's just like, it's kind of like having a post office box, really, is what it is. So rather than us getting letters at our house, we get them at the post office box, and then we go to the post office box and we get the letter. But whoever sends us that letter doesn't know what our actual house address is. They know what the post office box is. And if there were a complaint, it goes to the post office. In this case, it goes to the proxy provider's IP address, and no problem. And they deal with it and they move on because they set it up in such a way they don't care.
So in other words, it's really important that you're not sending this from your own like internet connection, because you could actually get your internet provider banning you from accessing the internet, right? And so again, we really want to set up these proxies, because if we don't, we have a chance of getting a message like that, like, hey, if you don't stop what you're doing, we're going to shut down your internet. And then that's a whole pain that we don't want to have to go through. So we do want to use proxies. One question I think that people might have, Ryan, is how many proxies do I actually need to be able to send these messages?
Right. So that's down my list, but let's jump there. So how many proxies? It depends on how many you're going to send a day, right? So proxies are actually stronger, is maybe not the best analogy, but they're a lot stronger and more powerful than it might seem at the get-go, right? So it depends on how many messages you want to send. And here's a simple analogy. If for every proxy that's a private proxy, which is what we're going to talk about, and I'll show you here shortly, we want, for every proxy, we can send about 10,000 messages a day if we're using a pre-filtered list. So like if you're buying a list from the marketplace, those are like a massive list filtered down into like only the best ones. If you're going to load keywords in and go after specific niches, or you're scraping your own list, gathering your own list from Google, which we will talk about in the program. We haven't got there yet. But if you're doing that, it depends. So it's anywhere from about 100 submissions to 1,000 submissions a day with one proxy IP address. So the question is, how many do you want to send a day? If you want to send 10,000 messages a day and you're using keywords, then you probably need 10 to 20 proxies to be able to accomplish that. And don't get too stressed out about it, because the great thing about it is you can always, I tell people, just start low. You can start with a small package, and if you need more, just add them. It's really easy. Just contact the provider and say, hey, I want to give you more money, give me more proxies. And they're like, yes, we'd be happy to do that. And it's like a super easy transaction, away you go. So it kind of depends on where we're at there. And as far as the provider to go with, Chase, can you make me a co-host?
Oh yeah, sorry, I thought
you already, never mind. You
Okay.
did. It usually pops up and asks me to accept it, and didn't. So let me share this here. And let's see, here we go. So this is just the replay sheet. If we go here to the apps and bots section, we go to my private proxy. There's a lot of proxy providers out there, and you can use other ones, but this is the place that I've used and worked with for years. And this is really one I recommend because they're solid and they don't mind the complaints and they handle us really well. So if we go here, you'll see different kinds of proxies across here. You just want private proxies. So if you go to private proxies, there's all this stuff down here. Or we're getting into Ticketmaster proxies and all this other stuff. Don't worry about that. We're just looking for proxies. So for most people, you're probably going to run somewhere between 5 and 50 proxies, right? So I actually use 50 proxies per a server. And with 50 proxies and a totally optimized setup and totally optimized list, I can actually send about 1 million submissions per day per a VPS, right? Most people are probably not going to go that heavy. So if we take 5 proxies, for example, or 10 is a nice round number. Can I interrupt really quick? If you guys are going to be grabbing proxies through this, again, you can use whatever proxy provider you want if you like different proxies. But if you are going to be using the list, please grab the proxies through the link in the class, because it just gives us money for free. I mean, there's really no reason why you wouldn't click through the link. But again, if you want to use different proxies, totally up to you. But if you want to support the classes, definitely go through the spreadsheet. If you click on the spreadsheet really quick, Ryan, I just want to show them where the resources are. So anything that we talk about, you'll see there's links for them here. And anything that we're going to be adding in, they're going to be in here. And if we can get any deals for you or anything, we're going to put them in the spreadsheet. Sorry, that's all I wanted to say. Yeah. And so the other side of it is, if you use this link here for the My Private Proxies, I actually talked to them because I've referred so many people to them, and they gave us a discount code that gives us a discount. I believe it's 20% off. We'll find out here in just a minute. And then I think it actually gives us some free proxies on top of that, right? So let's say that we're using 10 proxies here. How many, somebody go ahead and put in the chat. I know that this is a subjective question, right? Because we don't know, we can always adjust, but how many submissions a day do you guys think that you're going to want to, messages you're going to want to send? I mean, 1,000, Elaine says 1,000, 100 to 1,000 from Bronter. I just want to kind of get an idea where you're thinking. I mean, you can always scale up. Aaron, what's recommended? It kind of depends on where you want to go. Like, you can always scale up and you can always scale back down, but maybe a bad thing to happen would be like you just go crazy and then all of a sudden you have more leads than you can handle, and then people get like, oh, this guy's not responding to my messages, and you lose all those leads. I mean, well, that's the worst case, I guess. But
and what's crazy, Ryan, is when I first met you, I went and bought, like, I think it was the $700 monthly option. I got like 500
Yeah.
proxies, and I was sending like millions of messages a day, because when you have that many proxies, you can send a crazy amount of messages. And so basically the way this works is once you have these loaded up, you're going to be able to basically ramp up your settings where you can send at an accelerated rate. Like, you'll see the contact forms go way faster. But again, it's not really necessary, because like Ryan was saying, if you're sending too many, you'll get to the point where you're like, okay, I need to slow this down. I'm getting way too many people responding to what I'm sending.
yeah. So, I love Larry's response, 3,891. That's perfect, Larry. That's exactly the right amount. So most of these, you're not going to need 10,000. If you're sending 10,000 a day, like Jay wants to do, and several other people in here, then 10 proxies is going to be perfect. It's like $23 a month for 10 proxies. And then if we go in here to get started, and so I was already playing around here. That's what this redness is about. You guys won't have that. You can choose a 1 month price. I don't know if they give you, looks like you give you a bit of a discount if you want to go up, but you can do just one. And then you have to choose a use case. So in the use case here, there's the easiest thing to do is just put Google. It's not really terribly important, but you do want to be able to utilize Google for this. So Google will work. And then choose the proxy location. This literally doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do. If you want to pick something that's physically close to you, or if you want to pick something physically far away, like, take your pick. It doesn't really matter, right? And so when we click continue here, nope, it doesn't like me. Oh, please add it in a separate order. My bad. So I've already got proxies in the cart. Let's go back over here. Let's empty the cart. Sorry, guys, technical difficulties. I don't know why they won't let you order more than one at a time. It doesn't make any sense to me, but it is what it is. So I'm going to go back to private proxies real quick. And here we go. All right, so use case, Google, and pick a location, continue, and then we're going to get to our coupon code. The coupon code is Scrapebox. I'm just going to put this in here. It's a long story why that's a coupon code, but you can see it here. I've already got it entered. It's just Scrapebox. It gives us a 20% reoccurring discount. So that's like every single month that it takes off. So this one's like $4.74 off. And we go to checkout. And this is pretty basic from here. We're just going to enter some information. I'm not going to go through all this because I'll waste a bunch of time in the class. I already have Proxy set up, but you enter your information, choose your payment method, put in the CAPTCHA, agree to the terms of service, and then just complete the order. Once the order is completed, they're going to send you an email. The email will have your list of proxies in it, and you can then, we're going to move over to enter them into the thing. So far, though, is anybody, if this makes sense, throw me yes or a 1 in the chat. If we've lost something somewhere, throw me a 3 so I can answer a question, make sure we're good on getting the proxy set up. All right, looks like. All right, sweet. Everybody has a good understanding. What was the discount code? The discount code is Scrapebox, SCRAPEBOX, one word. X-Evil's about CAPTCHA solving, not for proxies. Yeah. How long do proxies last? Proxies last for 30 days. So they rotate them out every 30 days and they give you new ones. every 30 days. And so every 30 days, you just need to go, they will send you an email, or you can go into the control panel and you grab them and put them in to GSA. No, Elaine, they test automatically. The program, we'll get to that. They test automatically. So you don't have to worry about testing them. So once we have proxies here, let me get some proxies pulled up here. And bear with me here 1 second. So proxies come in two different formats, and you'll see that here in just a second. The one format looks like this, right? So there is this kind of format. Some providers give you a different format. Don't get confused by all this. I'll explain it. It's just, it has an @ symbol in the format. It'll work either one, but so if you're using my private proxy, it's going to look like this. If you use another provider, they may give it to you in a different format. That's fine. If anybody cares, it's an IP address, a port, and this is a username, just so we know, and this is a password. You can change these. So if something happens, you can request that they change it. But I'm just going to grab all these proxies, and I'm going to do simple. I'm going to copy them, and I'm going to paste them. So let's open up GSA website contact. And the way we do this is, and there's a lot here, so I'm going to kind of do this, and I'm going to break it down. We go into a project, and we click on like submission content, hit configure, and then we go add proxy, and then we can import them from file or clipboard in the relevant formats. So let's go back and slow that down just a second. We get our proxies from our provider. They come in an email. In the email, it looks like this. You can also log into the control panel here into the customer area, right? And you can get them in the control panel as well. And they're going to, look the same way. So once you have your proxies, you grab them. You can save them to file, or you can use the clipboard. I'm just going to use the clipboard. We're going to go into a project. So we can't set them up here. We actually have to open a project. So you can just create a new project if you don't have one. Name it literally anything. Once you have your project created, it pops open the project. On the very first screen here that says scraping, we can click use proxies for search engines, and we can click configure. You can also set them up in the submission content tab, either one of these tabs. But the scraping here is to do with the keywords and the search engines like Google. It doesn't matter that you set them up, and it works for everything once you set them up. Also, I want to mention this all types here. You want to click on it until it goes private. There's public proxies. We're not going to go into that. We don't need them. We're not using them. Just go private, click configure, and I'm going to delete all these real quick so we can see. We click add proxy. And then I'm just going to import from the clipboard. Remember, this is the format with the @ symbol. If you use another provider that uses that, this is the format that we're getting from my private proxy, like this. We click OK. It's asking if we want to test them. Yes, we want to go ahead and test them. That takes a second. And we can see it's cranking through all of them right here. And the green are the good, and the red is the ones that hasn't finished yet. So that is just finishing up.
Any questions so far about buying the proxies and then loading them up? We all good on that? Good. We're Gucci. Awesome. Okay, cool.
Awesome. So once we have good proxies, they're all green. Again, GSA, someone asked about testing them. GSA keeps track of that. And later on, I'll mention a setting that I asked them to build in for this, which protects us from getting complaints. It's like a backup setting, because I love backups to everything, right? So you can see there is a few that have red that are not working right now on my list of 50. That's okay. Don't stress out about that. Sometimes proxies go down for a couple of minutes because it just happens, and it's okay. That's why, when you have several, they're redundant. So what this program is going to do is, right now it's going to use the 47, and then it's going to retest the proxies in a little while. And if they're working, it'll keep using them at that point. So sometimes that happens. It's rare. It does happen. In this case, I probably just haven't updated it yet. So we have our proxies. It's easy. And we click OK, and away we go. Now, what's really important here is there's two functions that use proxies: the scraping tab and the submission tab. Scraping, again, is where we use search engines like Google to gather all of our list of URLs. I could put in my keywords here and put in like a dentist, or put in, if I'm looking for every business, just put in a bunch of random keywords, right? I can get those from ShineRanker. It generates like thousands on the fly really fast. And so that uses it because search engines will block your home IP address if you go too fast. But when I put in like 50 proxies like this, or 10 proxies, that it's like being able to spread out all the requests over like 50 different computers, right? So you get to go 50 times as fast, basically. On the submission content tab as well, this is where we're actually sending the messages. So I'm going to go back and recap this. So hang with me if you're lost. When we send the messages, that's when we're actually like going to the actual websites, like the dentist website or the roofer or whoever, and saying, hey, buy our product, buy SEO from us. You know, here's an AI writing tool for Jasper, sign up for my affiliate link, whatever. We need to make sure these use boxes are checks. Use proxies for sending, use proxies for search engines. If you don't put a check mark in the box, GSA doesn't know that you want to use proxies for it, and you want to use private type on both of these. So we just have to double check that. That's like one of the biggest things.
I have a funny story about this. So
Yeah.
I was sending out millions of messages, and I went to go check my settings, and that check mark wasn't marked. And I realized I was sending like millions from my own IP, and I freaked out and like turned off my computer. And then, you know, because I wanted it to stop immediately, right? I didn't want to get my IP banned. So again, very important. You have to load the proxies in, but you have to click that check mark. If you don't click the check mark, it's not going to send through the proxies. It's going to send through your internet. So do not forget to check that.
Yeah, it's super important. And I'm going to go ahead and click configure again. I guess it's worth adding here. When I added these proxies in by default here from a file or clipboard, it's assuming that they're private. Notice that I said to select private here and click on it. Over here, you see this PRIV. These proxies are set as private. If for some reason something's not working, and we can talk about this again in troubleshooting, just make sure that if you have this set to private, that it's set private right here, because I can actually right click on this and change the proxy type to, you know, whatever kind of proxy that I want. Actually, that's the wrong one. Hang on. You right click on it and you can change it from being well, it's here somewhere. Change proxy type. Somebody just had. Give me a second. I'll find the setting. Anyways, you can change that. We'll talk about that at troubleshooting. I've never had it not load in like that, but it's worth mentioning in case you have an issue with that. So as far as testing the proxies, someone earlier asked if we should test the proxies. If everything gets shut down and you want to test your proxies, you can just go here to test all and test on a proxy judge URL. You can also test them against Bing. There's a lot of other tests in here. I'm not going to really go into why you might not want to use these things because it take a long time here, but Bing and proxy judge URL are the two you want to test them. We can click it and it'll just go through and test everything. So that's another thing if something's not working because someone asks. Yeah, it's all green. Yeah, Rena, if you properly uploaded them, they're going to be all green. If it doesn't understand the formatting, or you have the formatting messed up, like let's say you have like spaces in here, it's not going to work. When you load it in, it's just going to give you an error message, or it'll load in like a blank screen and say that it has 0 proxies loaded in. And they're going to wind up turning red, depending on how you put it in. MAC addresses, Elaine, we don't, no, you can't track them and they don't matter for this.
Okay, so all we really need is the opt-out that we talked about in the last class, which if you haven't watched that yet, make sure you watch the replay in the spreadsheet. We need the proxies, and now we're pretty much good to go to start sending messages, right, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, once you have the proxies sorted, you have all of your baseline. So you're legally compliant and you have your proxies. You can go to town and start sending right now. The last thing you do want to do here, though, in the double check department that I was talking about. So I actually asked them to put this in here, and they added it because I was having issues. So stop projects when no proxy is alive. So if we go to the gear icon, stop projects when no proxy is alive. We want to make sure that there's a check mark in this box. What this does is GSA is testing the proxies in the background, And when it figures out that the proxies aren't working, like you have to replace them every 30 days, or let's say that there was like once every 2 or 3 years, the proxy provider may have some sort of technical issue where they're down for like 12 hours. You don't want your IP to be used. And this is just like a fail safe. So it automatically stops them from sending. And then whenever the proxies come back online, it starts sending in all automatically. But that's a really important setting to have checked here to make sure that you're good to go. So at this point, let's find out, can I have like ones if you've got this? Can I have like 3 if you're on the fence? And then
And one other thing I want to mention too, if you're new here, we also have obviously replays of these classes, so you can always go back through them. And we also have done for you. So if you don't want to do it yourself, you're confused, you're like, hey, I just want Ryan and Chase to set this up for me. We have different levels where we'll set up one thing or we'll set up the whole thing for you. And we'll leave a link in the chat as well if you want to check out, the done for you stuff as well.
yeah, and so I think it's pronounced Rana. Do we upload project proxies separately to each project? No. Proxies are global. You can go into any project you want. And so I can go in here, I can go in here, it doesn't matter. And if I put these proxies in, we can see that the proxies are in. If I go to a different project and load them up, we can see that the same proxies are in. So proxies are global. Yeah, so yeah, all right, there's the link, digital prof. Awesome. How do you decide that? Okay, Tevin, hang with me, Tevin, we'll get to that. And so the last thing here is if you log in and everything is running, then you're great. If you log in and there's some errors out to the side here where it says that everything's been aborted because there are no viable proxies, the first thing you want to do is just double test your proxies, which we already talked about. Go here to configure it and just test them all to make sure they're working. And if they're then working, maybe there was a problem, they shut down and it just hadn't retested them yet. Once it's started, once they're green again, you can go ahead and start your projects if they don't start automatically. If they all test out red, or like a bunch of them test out red and they keep testing out red, then go to your proxy provider and be like, hey, these proxies are dead. Most of the time, the proxy provider already knows this and they've already replaced the proxies and your new proxies will be in your control panel. And sometimes they'll send you an email as well. But if it's only like a portion of your proxies, they'll just be in your control panel. So that's how you can basically test the proxies. And from here, that's the whole setup. Before we go any farther though, I guess we should is there any other questions about this?
So Ryan, right now we have two options, right? We're either going to be scraping our own URLs or we're going to be using preloaded lists, correct?
Correct.
And so I think the thing that we want to find out, it really comes down to how much experimenting you want to do. All right. So you can scrape lists and it takes a very long time to do, or you can, I'll let Ryan explain it. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, it's just about speed. So you can, how fast do you want to go? Or how much do you not want to do it, right? So if you want to jump in and scrape keywords, you can go so fast. And it's still faster than doing it by hand. But if you want to buy a pre-done list, then you get to go way fast. And so I can tell you the ratio. If you scrape domains, now this is like .coms and .nets and .orgs, obviously you're going to have all these other ones like .xyz and .info showing up in your search results. So that skews it. But if you could magically go to Google and you pull out just like the .coms, you're going to get an 8 to 12% of them are possible to be submitted to. So if I go in and I pull on a scale like, let's say I pull like 100,000 URLs, right? I scrape 100,000 URLs and that takes X number of hours to do. Once I have that, about 8 to 12% of those, so take 10% for a nice round number, about 10,000 of those are going to be possible for GSA that it thinks it can submit to. And then of those 10,000, depending on the rest of your settings, which we haven't got into all of that yet, but you're going to get anywhere from 50 to like 80% success rate on those. So call like 60% for a nice average there. So out of your 10,000, you're probably going to be able to submit to 6,000. So if you use a pre-filtered list, so like what I did was I scanned hundreds of millions of domains with a farm of servers over a period of time. And it's an ongoing process, but build the list and then I can just load the list in. And then I've got this huge list boiled down to just what I want to go to. So let me give you an example here. if I take, well, here, let's just do this. I've got 2 projects going here. And I clicked on it. It's going to take a second to load up here. All right, let's remove all the URLs here. See if we can run these simultaneously here. And I'll show you one of them keyword scraping and then one of them with a loaded list. So this one already has a loaded list, and select this. Sorry, this wasn't set up. I didn't get this far. I didn't think we were going to get through this as fast. I thought I'd have a lot more questions on proxies. You guys have already got it. And are the lists niche specific or random? So the lists that we're selling in the marketplace are random. The only real segmentation is geographical, because when you get into niche specific lists, because of the way the lists are generated, it would be very difficult to segment them out into niches. You would have a lot of false positives.
Ryan, can you explain how you're basically using a bunch of resources to build these lists? Because I don't think people realize how long it takes to get 10 million contact forms that you can load up.
Yeah. So okay. Let's see if I can explain this in a simple way. So we've been talking about VPSs, right? Virtual private servers. Without going too deep into this, a virtual private server is like, think about a virtual private server as kind of like a smaller machine as far as total amount of resources, right? You can use so much. It's kind of more like having a laptop or a desktop, right? I use dedicated servers, which are a high end, super powerful. I mean, you could get it at home, like a super powerful desktop, but it's like a supercharged machine. And I'll use a ton of these and scan hundreds of millions of URLs. So think about this. If you open 20 tabs in your browser and try to load 20 different websites at the same time, like you're going to Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and a ton of different things at once, that's going to take a minute to load. I'm loading hundreds of millions of websites that we have to see. And so in order to do that, it takes forever. So I scanned 300 and almost 400 million URLs with a ton of servers aggregating together, and it took like 4 months to scan those URLs, which is the majority of the internet itself.
And when I first met Ryan, I told him, I'm like, Ryan, just give me the list that you use, because I didn't want to have to go and scrape 10 million URLs and see if I can send them see if I can send to them or not. So I just handed Ryan money. And so like you can get 2 million contact forms that you can load up and start sending to, like today, right here in the marketplace. Again, the marketplace is in the chat. You can also get 10 million contact forms, right? And you can literally get started sending to these 10 million contact forms today if you want to shortcut. But again, it just comes down to how fast you want to do this. Sorry, I took over your screen share, Ryan.
No, you're good. I was prepping here. So let me go back. Right, so I just pulled up ShineRanker, and it's just cranking out some keywords here. We can actually run this simultaneously and see. And yes, I did notice somebody said in the chat, you can run more than one project at once. Yes, you can run. Like I usually run like 10 at once. Right,
well,
so okay.
For those of you who haven't seen ShineRanker yet, I don't know if there is anybody. This is our tool, and what we use this tool to basically look up keywords. And there's a 10-day free trial on the tool, but you can look up keywords, you can export them like what Ryan's doing, and you can load them up into GSA, and you can just start scraping lists with those keywords.
Yeah, so I'm not really explaining this process because that will be down the road here. I will definitely explain it, but right now I just want to burn through this here and set it up so you guys can actually see it, because I think once you see it side by side, you'll be able to see what the speed comparison is here. But yes, it's protected. Thank you very much. All right. Great.
Also, while you're loading that, Ryan, can you explain why the contact forms that you sell is a monthly service rather than like a one-time thing?
Yeah, because they change every month, right? So I give you new ones. So you can buy, there's a list in there It's like 10 million, over 10 million, which is just like a giant list, right? Because there is a finite number of contact forms on the planet. There's more and more all the time as new websites come on, but there is a finite number, even though it's in like the tens of millions. But the subscription is, and you can sign up, for a couple of months and cancel if you want, but the subscription is new ones every month. So it's an always running machine that I have set up where I'm just always bringing in new contact forms and scraping for new websites and constantly just adding to it.
So basically you have like a database of all of the newer contact forms, because a lot of them burn out, right? As newer websites get on the internet, and the older websites that maybe update their pages with captchas we can't break, or for whatever reason, maybe they take off their contact forms, we need to start pruning that list and basically refresh the list, right? And that's what you're doing, automated on your own server with a ton of resources, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, think about it. Businesses go out of business, websites go offline, they change hosting companies, they change websites. There's just attrition. I mean, and a lot of people set up websites for one project, and then, they'll run that for a while and they no longer sell that product. So they take the whole website down and stuff goes away. It's just like anything else. You drive down the street, look at the number of businesses go out of business, especially now it's even more. But so yeah, it's a constant pruning process of getting rid of the old, bringing in the new, and making sure there's always businesses that you can market to. As I went in here, I loaded in, I don't know if this is a couple of thousand keywords or whatever, right? And I'm going to go ahead and just select Google here as my search engine. So I'm kind of jumping ahead, but real quick explanation. I added keywords up here, and I'm going to my search engine down here, and I'm going to choose just Google as my primary search engine to make this all work. Click OK, and we're just going to start both of these. This one, we're going to do all. Yes, and this one, I don't even know what messages are in here, but we're going to start send message. And it's going to take, this is going to do data prep because I kind of loaded in like a lot of stuff for it to do. So this is probably going to take 30 seconds to run through here. So I'm going to check the questions here in the chat while this loads up. Dr. Omar has 3 questions. Can you use Google search commands such as NURL? Sure, of course. This is Google. You can put that keywords box it says keywords. It means search query. Whatever you put in the Google search bar and google.com, you can put in the keywords box. So you can use all the search operators and everything. What's the best search engine you can use? That is definitely Google, but Bing is, if you want accuracy, Google's best. If you want total mass of all businesses, then definitely Bing can be a good one. Yahoo, and you can read through there. If you go through the search engines, I can't pull it up this sec because it's loading. To the right of them, there's a description. It tells you this is really great. This is kind of okay. And it gives you some information about them. How can you scrape specific keywords in domain using the filter? How can I scrape specific keywords in a domain? Not sure I understand that question. Maybe you can ask that differently, Dr. Omar. You love ShineRanker. Awesome, Todd. You highly suggest to get the pre-built lists. If we're looking to get 1,000 leads a month, it takes 3 years to go through a preloaded list of 1 million leads. I'm a little confused. So you can see it going through here. Now this top project that just says YouTube, I'll answer that question in a second. The top project says YouTube is the one where it's doing search engine. You can see keyword used. It's using these roofing and dentist keywords, and it's getting the information from Google. So it's going to Google and saying, hey, give me some URLs about Mayfield Dentist, Kirkin Roofing, etc. And Google's giving back that data. Then it's going to go check those to see if they have forms. And you can see, like I said, about a 10% ratio here. The green ones were successful. So right now it's going out, doing all those keywords, and this project started first. So it's sent 2 successfully, and right now, so there it is populating more from Google. So it goes to Google, gets a list, comes back, goes to each website, checks them, looks for the form, and then it submits to them. So we have 3 submissions so far. The pre-built list, what I do is I go and I find all the websites, hundreds of millions, scan all the websites to see if they have contact forms, and then only save off the ones that GSA thinks it can submit to. And I think this is a really good thing that we need to cover, because a lot of people will say, well, Ryan or Chase, we see your videos and you're getting way more successes on your scent where maybe we're not. And a lot of the reason why is because when you're just doing a scrape of keywords and you're sending messages,
those aren't pre-checked URLs. You're just going to be sending messages to every URL that you find. And so with the pre-built lists, we're already checking them ahead of time. So the success rate is going to be way higher because we're making sure that we can send to those URLs ahead of time. Now, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be 100%. You're never going to see 100%, right? But it's going to definitely be higher generally than when you would just be using a keyword scrape and then sending messages. The other thing I want to mention too is that look at the numbers right now. You can see 139, 141. This would be going a lot faster if you had more proxies. So now you can kind of see in real time, the difference between having a few proxies versus having, like, let's say, hundreds of proxies, right, Ryan?
Yeah, to some degree, there comes a limit where if you put in like 10,000 proxies, you're not going to get it. But yes, proxies is a piece of it, but there's more than one piece to it as well. Just like if you have a race car going down a track, right? An Indy car, for example, you have the tires, you have the fuel, you have the engine, but you can't put like tiny little tires on it and a massive engine expect it to go fast. So proxies is one piece of that. Another piece is I'm running this. So I'm at my house right now, right? There's a huge snowstorm coming and there's, it's going to be like negative 22 wind chill. Like I'm not going anywhere. So I'm at the house and I'm on my home internet connection, which is fast, but DNS is a home internet DNS. And I'm not going into DNS, but it can be a choke point. And so this would be exponentially faster. Like if I had this on one of the servers and I was showing you, this would be running way, way faster than it is. And you would very quickly notice. So if you're on a VPS, you're going to notice that the preloaded lists perform at an order of magnitude faster than the others. So to someone's question here, Tevin, I think, said, which is related to that if you're looking for 1,000 leads a month, it takes 3,000 or 3 years to go through a list of 1 million URLs. So 1,000 leads is not 1,000 URLs right now. So I've sent this message to 245 people, right? Not all of those people, in fact, not most of those people are going to respond. In any kind of marketing, you only have about 3% of people who are currently aware of their need. And you need to continue to market to these people over and over and over again just to get that 3% to engage with you and trust you. That's why we send more than once. But you might need to send, it depends, right? But you might need to send 100,000 URLs to get 1,000 leads. So it depends on your messaging and it depends on your response if you're sending them to a phone number. And we're going to get into all that as we go on. Like I have stuff planned just for like optimizing that. And if you've got the AI profits, like there's massive amounts of stuff in there if you want to speed that up, but that I've already done videos. But at the end of the day, I don't know if that makes sense, but you're not going to get 100% success rate. If you go talk to 10 businesses, you're not going to sell 10 out of 10 all the time. And yeah, Alan says the same thing. Any ideas how this can use for an e-commerce product sale? Sure, you can just send them straight to the Jay. You can send them straight to the e-commerce website. Whatever. I mean, I don't know what you're selling, but you can be creative too, guys. So we've been real technical as we started here, but talking about compliance last time and talking about proxies this time. We talked about VPS, all these technical terms and getting everything set up. Don't get hung up that just because this is a bot that you don't still have a human element here. So you still need to be creative in your messaging, creative in your approach, just like Chase talked about the other day, where we can sell B2C type products with it. Because if I send a message that says, hey, buy SEO from me, and I just send that message to a bunch of businesses, yes, if I do a big enough numbers game, some people are just going to get me on the phone and buy that. Now, if I give them a phone number and we send them to Skype like we saw before, where we have all these leads here, when you give people a phone number, you get a little bit more trust, but you still only have, a finite number of people that are going to trust you. However, you can play the expert angle. So you could make a video or you could hire it out, whatever, because I think that's going in the marketplace too. But you could make a video about how SEO can impact your business, and you can put that up. And rather than telling people to buy from you, send them to the video. And in the video, it's an indirect sell because now they have seen you, they have learned from you, they trust you, and then they want to do business with you automatically. So this is a marketing engine, but in any kind of business, you want to use any angle you can to convert them, if that makes sense. I don't know. That makes sense.
Can we recap for a second? So first of all, how cool is this? We're finally up and running, right? After a few classes. we're ready to start sending messages. Okay, so first of all, I want to ask you guys in the chat, do you feel ready to start sending messages? Do you feel like you have the ability now to send messages? Just give me a 1 or a yes. Give me a 3 if you're still on the fence. Little bit 3. Okay, I do want to understand what the 3s are for, because before we go into how to actually start generating these leads and selling to them, I want to go through some of the 3s and understand, I guess, what is the thing that might be holding you back. Now, I'm not saying, you have to understand the full process. I'm not saying you have to understand how to sell, how to get the leads, any of that. I'm just saying, do you feel like you can start sending messages with this tool? Give me a 1 if so, 3 if you're still on the fence. Okay, some ones. Okay. Okay. I can't get solid VPS to open. And again, if you need one-on-one help from us as well, first of all, you can post in the group. The group will try to help you as much as we can. If you want a one-on-one call with Ryan, you can always book a call with us too. If you want extra help, you want us to like do a screen share and look at what you're looking at. Okay, so lots of ones. So it looks like everybody pretty much understands how to send the messages, Ryan.
Okay, awesome. Well, so I realize I got off there on optimization, which is a little bit ahead. We're going to talk about that in weeks to come. But so technically, like Alan says, from a pure technical perspective, yes, you've got it, got everything down. So if we understand how to do it, then I think that's the biggest piece. I saw some people saying they're not sure what to sell and overthinking it. Yes, Tevin, don't overthink it. So we're going to talk about what to sell. I think that's probably.
I think we're good today. We're already at, we have 10 minutes left. So let's open it up for questions now. I guess the assignment for today, Ryan, what would you say? Maybe load up their proxies and start sending a couple test messages and see, we still haven't even really showed them how, like what the exact message should be, but they can start playing around with it at least now.
Yeah, I mean, the homework.
I'll tell them a story, Ryan, about the first messages I was sending, if you remember.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you guys a story. So when I first met Ryan, when I first started asking about these contact forms, Ryan gave me the list. He gave me about, I think it was like 5 million contact forms. And obviously I paid him for him, but I loaded up my proxies. I got everything set up. And my first message that I wanted to test was, I started sending messages to websites, and I said, "Hey, there's a get your cat out of my driveway." And I told Ryan about this, and he was laughing super hard because I was sending him all the responses. I was getting hundreds of people messaging like, "Hey, what are you talking about? We don't have a cat. You're crazy, right?" And so you try something like that. Just start sending some messages to some of these websites and see the responses that you start getting. I think you'll be amazed how many websites will start responding to you. And if you look in our group too, you'll see that people are already testing this and they're showing all their responses. They're showing the screenshot, and it's crazy how fast you'll start getting responses.
Yeah. And you can even go soft, like just, if you don't want to even do that, like if you're worried, just say, "Hey, you had a great website. I just wanted to say thanks." Just send them that. Just proof of concept that it actually works. Right. So it looks like Jim has a question. Fire away, Jim.
I don't think Jim's mic's working. It wasn't working earlier.
What do I do when I can't get the solid VPS to open on the initial?
Did you catch that? I didn't really catch that.
I think he had a question about the VPS. I read it in the chat. It wasn't opening correctly, which at that point, Jim, what I'd recommend is, and somebody else made this suggestion as well. I don't know who put it in here, but I would actually contact a VPS company. A lot of the time.
I have.
Oh, well.
I have. I can't get anybody to contact me back. I contacted him last night. I contacted him this morning, and there's no phone number. The initial login just doesn't work with their credentials. I even tried to change. I went through all 4 initial emails they sent me. I got a receipt and everything. I clicked on every link.
So
nothing
The other thing I'd recommend is record your screen and post a video of what you're doing in the group, or book
There's
a call
never
with us.
anybody there.
In the Facebook group.
Yeah. So if you're having problems, again, like the Facebook group is the best place to get free help because you can post a video, you can show people what's happening, and our whole group will try to help you for free. Or again, just book an hour with Ryan and have him do a screen share with you. Again, it's in the marketplace if you want one-on-one help.
Yeah, but I go into Facebook too and have been answering questions as well. But we would, at that point, Jim, we need something visual. Like I need a screenshot or a video to see the errors and stuff, because otherwise we could, spend all day and not even get close. All right, awesome. Got some more questions here. Looks like Paul has a question. I'm just going in order across here. I don't know who actually raised their hand first. What we got, Paul?
Hey there. Thanks, guys. It's been a great training. I had a quick question on sending a rotator link. If I wasn't going to do any kind of SEO and was really focused on affiliate products, I wouldn't be direct linking to any particular website, either a landing page or a direct affiliate offer. Would I use like a Click Magic rotator for that, or what do you recommend there?
Are we, by rotator link, you talking about like just URL that redirects?
Yeah. I don't know where I heard it. It could have been in a different training, and I apologize if that's the case. But
No, that's fine.
I think I saw somewhere that it's best practice to use like a redirect link in our messages instead of a direct URL.
Right, correct. We have not covered that in class. It is on the to-do list. But yes, you always want to use a redirect link, because if there is a complaint, it goes to the redirect URL. And there's not a wrong answer there, as long as the right thing to worry about with redirect links is that they're secure, like HTTPS links. So whatever service you use, and I'll talk about how we use Cloudflare, and it's free, and they give you a secure redirect. But yeah, any kind of service that does, if you have a rotator service, whatever, that does a redirect link with an HTTPS, then you can use that.
Cool.
We're also going to get into like B2B and B2C. So yesterday, if you watched the replay, we kind of went over like your two options right now, choosing whether you want to do affiliate, whether you want to generate leads for a service. And we're going to be going deep into that, right? Like, what do you do once you get the lead? How do you monetize with affiliate? How do you monetize with services? So we're going to get there. It's just, again, we have to make sure everybody's up to date on how we actually get started with sending the messages, and then we can kind of go into the deeper concepts.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Looks like, yeah, Jay, fire away.
Yeah, appreciate it, Ryan. Thanks for all the great content. Question for you guys. Is there any way to customize and personalize some of these bot messages using dynamic fields? For instance, like just to kind of increase the response rate, if I was to use one of your lists and just have like a, hey, brackets website name or something like that, or their city that they're located in, or any other search parameters that I'm using. Is that possible, or is it a bit early for that?
Yes and yes. So it's a bit early, but it is possible. I believe GSA calls them tokens, and they're wrapped in percent signs. You can go to the help section in the GSA website contact and go for the user manual and check on their website. I'm not sure if you post that question in the Facebook group, I'm happy to, after the call, go dig up a specific link to information on that and answer that. But it can be done through tokens that are wrapped in percent signs, and you can load in CSV files and they dynamically grab that data and throw it in there, or dynamically grab data from the actual website itself.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. Todd, what you got for us?
So I was messing around. I was scraping sites the other day. How do and I'm getting just garbage sites. So let's just take, for example, I'm trying to get to electrical contractors, but I'm getting electrical supply houses within that. And I showed up about a half hour late here, but how do I find the actual electrical contractor and do that kind of filtering? Is it just too broad if I use the word electrical or contractor? They give supplies to electrical contractors, but I want to sell let's just say an estimating software to an electrical contractor instead of to a supply house. And I've got other use cases. I was using it for my wife's company, but how do I do that?
So
I find the actual contractor.
that is a good question, and that is an accuracy question. And farther down in the classes, I'll cover more on that. But so the thing about accuracy is that one, Google's the best at it out of the search engines that's in there. So if you're going to use search engines in website contact, I would go in and they have like 100 and I don't even know, a lot, right? From there all over the world, which is fine. But I would uncheck them all and try it with only Google. In fact, I was on a call with somebody the other day who we were talking about this, and the accuracy went way up when we did Google. Even inside of Google, they put all their focus on like page one results, right? So you may still run into that, and we may need to set up some filters in there, which we can do. And again, that's for another class, but GSA does have some filtering options in there. I mean, I would try at first, I would just try to get as close as possible. Use only Google and see if that, were you using other engines or do you know?
I just took what was standard, what was there.
Okay. Yeah. They have they have a bunch of stuff checked by default, and their intent is to make sure that you get success with the program so that you don't fire it up on day one and say, oh, it doesn't work. Right. So they want to give you as much reason to continue with the program as possible, which makes sense from a marketing standpoint. But go in there on that, under the keyword, on the keywords tab at the bottom, right click, uncheck, or just choose check none, and then find Google like I did in the class today. I don't know if you saw it because you said you were late. Find Google, select only that, and then try it.
I saw Google International. Is that what you use or just something else?
They have a ton of Googles in there. There's one that just says Google, and there's one that says Google International, and there's one that says like Google US. You could try all those. Any kind of Google is probably going to get you close, but like if you choose Google France and you're working in Canada, it's obviously, but
yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep.
We got time for one more, and then we got to end it. Before the last question, though, I do want to remind everybody, all you have to do to enter, we're going to be giving away next week on our class on Tuesday when we continue, $500 worth of services in the marketplace. We're also going to be giving away a coaching call with Ryan as well, one-on-one coaching call. If you want to enter it, make sure you just participate in the group, say you're enjoying the classes, or ask questions, do anything to participate, and we'll pull anybody that we'll randomly pull a winner from whoever's participating in the group. So if you're not in the group, go join it. Okay, last question.
All right, fire away, Tevin, and then I want to show everybody just before we go the comparison of those two projects because they're still running.
Hi, once again, thank you very much for the class. I just wanted to have some idea. My niche is the SaaS industry, SaaS companies. How would you use the program in order to get to your SaaS companies? Would you just make like a search with putting SaaS companies in Google, or you think that you would use like another type of a strategy?
I would have to think about that for a minute, but I think you'd want to quantify or qualify what a SaaS company is at that point. So if you just want all SaaS companies and you just tell Google SaaS companies, they might know what that is, but you might need to say some qualifier keywords like SaaS software or SaaS. I mean, SaaS is software, right? But you might want to put in some qualifying keywords. So like SaaS for real estate agents, or SaaS for plumbers, or like, I don't know what all the SaaS tools you're thinking about are, but most likely, and you may need to even qualify it differently. So searching goes based on what the website content is and what Google knows about it. So how does a SaaS company qualify themselves as a SaaS company? Do they put the words, we're a SaaS company, on their website? Or do they commonly use some other terminology, like ShineRanker is a SaaS tool, really, but I don't think that ShineRanker has SaaS on the website. So you kind of have to think about how does the website identify itself?
Yeah. So an example is you could just say, like, you could look up websites that are listed for SEO tools, right?
Yeah, tool's a great word.
Yeah. So it's just really about how you're scraping with the keywords. There's other ways that you can scrape as well, but I think right now we're just starting with the keywords, and we can talk about other things later. But I want to be mindful of everybody's time. It's 12:03. Ryan, you had one last thing to share. Tevin, is that okay with you? You're going to use keywords that software tools will be listed for?
Yeah, so should I start now just with GSA, or that's already worth to try to use one of those preloaded a list and test with that? Should I wait or should I already go for it?
I mean, test out GSA. It's already there. You already have it. I would definitely test it out. And if you're getting the results that you want, go with it. If you're not getting the results that you want and you want to go faster, then you could try one of the pre-made lists and see that if it works for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep. So here, I just wanted you to see. So this project here is the one that we are scraping keywords. We have managed to send 15 while we've been on the call. And this is a preloaded list where we sent 1,300, almost 1,400. So that's kind of your difference in comparison about how fast you want to go. Like Chase said, we always use pre-made lists. And that's why in the videos, it looks like we are crushing it because we are. But if you want to use non-pre-made lists, that's where it's at. And so with that, I think we are done. I don't know who all celebrates it, but for those of you who are celebrating Christmas, Merry Christmas. And I think our next class is, I think it's before New Year's, isn't it?
It might be
next week,
Tuesday,
27th.
right? Yeah. So we'll see you guys on the 27th. And happy holidays. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.